So we are back again. Now we have Marcus again on 4-color Elish Elementals. The other player who has already finished is Phil with Azorius Hammertime with a slight blue splash.
Slight blue splash. Very important in this matchup though.
Yeah. So we have them at the moment.
Phil showing us the hand. Let's take a quick peek.
There's a Pure Steel Paladin,
I see
Inkmoth
quite
Nexus,
a few lands, Inkmoth Nexus, Pure Steel Paladin,
and Ornithopter was there as well.
I saw Shadow Spear.
So the matchup is very similar to what we've seen before. It's the 4-color elementals against a combo creature-based deck.
I think Hammertime might be favored here as well, just because he has so many protection stuff, and he can
no chance. I think it's even harder for Hammertime to win.
Really?
Yes, because the Infect deck has 10 plus protection spells.
Ah, yeah, true.
Whereas
Hammertime is less,
game 1 has much fewer. He can still play a normal game.
Yeah.
He can use Stoneforge Mystic to gain some advantage. He can draw cards off of Pure Steel Paladin, but I still think the Elementals deck is favored here. Post-board, things get spicy. Oh, there is one card for Phil that could save his matchup.
Yeah.
Giver of Runes basically forces Marcus to kill it first, because it can otherwise give protection to any other creature that Marcus targets.
Yeah, Phil is not playing Amulet Titan because he has never played the deck before, and I think his chances would be very, very low for him to play Titan. It's
basically the same, right?
It's a very hard
one
deck to
mana
play.
artifacts, Amulet, Colossus Hammer.
Yeah, but if he's not familiar with the play patterns and stuff, then it's very, very hard.
Of course,
to see the lines.
I'm joking. So Phil knows that it's very hard for him to win with the combo just turn 2 against Solitude and Leyline Binding. So he goes for the slower but more resilient approach, and he fetches a Caldera Complete with Stoneforge Mystic. Now we see a Leyline Binding, which has to target the Giver of Runes 100% in order to nullify its protection. And if Marcus wants to prevent that Caldera Complete for coming onto the battlefield, he has to Solitude the Stoneforge Mystic now.
True.
Let us see. Marcus with the classic double Triumph full domain start, which did punish him a bit against the Spell Pierce in the previous game.
True. Is there any Spell Pierce in the list of the Hammertime player?
He has one.
What is
he has
splashing
one
blue for? He has a Reality Chip. He has
2 Mana Tide and 1 Spell Pierce. Mana Tide is the poor man's Spell Pierce. I also played it in a top 8 here. Very good card.
Mana Tide is amazing.
Especially when no one expects it.
It can actually be quite good against like Solitudes and instant speed tapped out.
Yes, if he goes for a 5 mana spell, this is exactly what Mana Tide wants to see.
If it's completely unexpected.
Yes. Okay, so we saw the Stoneforge Mystic also get killed, as we expected, but Phil is rebuilding with Paladin, and basically casting the hammer lets him draw a card off of the Pure Steel Paladin's triggered ability. This is one matchup where Elish Norn shines as well. It stops so
everything,
many. It stops Sigarda's Aid, it stops Pure Steel Paladin, and it stops Stoneforge Mystic, at least from what we can...
I think Elish Norn is going to be a mainstay in Modern at this point. This card proves to be very, very good.
Probably hard to jam several copies, since it's still a 5 mana sorcery speed spell.
That's true.
But in a deck like this that can tutor for it, I think it's the perfect fit. Okay, so we see a Teferi, which in a way insulates Marcus from losing at instant speed in the face of Sigarda's Aid. Can Phil trigger Metalcraft? So if he animates Inkmoth Nexus now, he would have 2 artifacts. With 1 Ornithopter from hand, this would be lethal. Am I wrong?
No.
It would be lethal, but he didn't have it.
He could also have like Springleaf Drum.
Springleaf Drum, and then using the Paladin from mana.
I also saw an Ornithopter in hand. Where is it?
Where is it? Maybe it wasn't an Ornithopter, because he would have definitely gone for it.
I think it was the Giver of Runes with the border.
Yes.
Might be.
So many alternate art versions. All beautiful.
Galaxy foils.
Probably also available on the Magic Corner Punko.tate website. Okay. Phil is forcing Marcus's hand. He's attacking the Teferi.
There's the Solitude, pitch
And
Elishnorn.
there is the Elishnorn pitch. Phil has the Blacksmith skill.
So obviously he can't cast the blacksmith skill into my
What?
Teferi.
What
He
does,
showed it.
I'm not exactly sure what skill does in this situation. It gives +2/+2 if it's an artifact creature, right?
Oh, no, he let it resolve.
He let it resolve, which might indicate that he has another Pure Steel Paladin.
No, I think blacksmith skill doesn't prevent it from dying to solitude. I think it gives indestructible.
Indestructible and Solitude exiles.
True, yeah.
Yes, that is true. See, so it is much worse than Infect in this matchup.
It is really.
It's not as prepared against the exile spells. But Phil did have a second Paladin. So no harm done.
So Marcus isn't playing any land, so
It means his grip is full of spells.
Also true, yeah. Teferi prevented him from casting on
That's
instant
true.
speed.
That's true. So it prevented him making the mistake.
Oh, Marcus just has everything.
Can he pay for the Esper Sentinel? He didn't pay. Someone may have missed a trigger here. Because the Leyline Binding was cast for 1 mana into the Esper Sentinel, which should have triggered.
Yeah, of course I cast a Leland Binding
So
and the
blacksmith
Dumb was
skill
called in
actually
response
gives
to
Hexproof
Esper
as well.
Sentinel.
Yes.
Just
So
to be
it's the
clear,
Teferi that prevented
no
it.
triggers were
Okay,
missed.
let's see. Phil is going for... Is this damage to Teferi? It looks like he's using the Blacksmith skill as just a +2/+2.
+2/+2.
Because anyway, as you guys said anyway, he can't use it to protect any of his creatures while Teferi's on the board.
Yes.
So he might as well trade it for the
He
Planeswalker.
gets rid of the Teferi here.
So how is Phil winning this? He already lost 2 copies of Pure Steel
So he
Paladin.
doesn't have. So I mean, he has 2 more. He also has the Force Guard's hit, but in order
Yes.
for it to do anything, he would have to draw another.
A lot of
hammer.
cards.
Yeah.
So Marcus has double Risen Reef here now.
Marcus is drawing cards, but he's not putting pressure, which is giving Phil maybe some time to draw out of it, but it's not a lot of time.
No.
I mean, Phil is also on 5 lands now.
Yeah.
He's close to hard casting the Caldra complete in his hand.
Which wouldn't even do that much with it.
No, I don't think
It
so.
could.
It does some damage.
It does.
I
some
mean, Marcus
damage.
already cast 2 Solitudes, right?
He also cast 2 Binding, I think,
Yeah.
And 1 Fury.
and 1 Fury. But he has Prismatic Endings.
He has a ton. The Esper Sentinel also attacking for 1. And Marcus declines to trade with Risen Reef.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of mana, but I guess if this is an Omnath, then him drawing a fetch land basically solves his mana problems for the rest of the game.
It's also basically drawing 3 cards.
With Risen Reef, yes, that's true. So this game is all but locked up at this point.
Yeah.
Unless Phil is sandbagging.
Is there
The
an
good
out for
stuff.
Phil? What can he... I mean... 16 damage. He needs to have... Oh no, now it's over.
No, because the Nexus is still safe. The Nexus is not a
that's true.
creature on Marcus's turn. So he will untap with it in play.
Protects it again.
Protects this one instead of the...
Interesting.
Interesting. He values the Esper Sentinel in play. That might have been Phil just getting a bit too excited. Because it's much more valuable to save the Blacksmith skill to protect your potentially lethal Inkmoth
Totally.
Nexus. Because if Phil just draws a Pure Steel Paladin now,
We
And-
see a 3rd Risen Reef.
Wow.
Played off of the Omnath trigger, of course.
casually drawing 7 cards in a turn. So this is what the deck does.
To be honest, I don't see Phil winning here anymore. I mean, surprise me, please. But looks very tough.
Him casting the Blacksmith skill was weird. I'm not sure what he still has in hand, but if he would have protection for the Inkmoth Nexus
Yeah.
and top deck the Pure Steel Paladin,
Yeah.
he could have gone for lethal.
Yeah.
None of so Marcus is clogging up the board, but none of his creatures have flying or reach.
I mean, the Blacksmith skill is the third artifact to give you Metalcraft for the Pure Steel Paladin.
He has 3 already. He has Esper Sentinel, Hammer, and the Nexus would be.
Yeah,
the third.
but if he lets the Esper Sentinel die, he doesn't
Yes,
have that
you're
Metalcraft
right.
for...
That is true. That is true. You're right. So he valued this more than...
What does it... Is this an Ornithopter?
Yeah.
It's an Ornithopter, yes. And Phil goes in for 1 more Infect. I doubt that he can chip in enough damage 1 by 1.
Me too.
And a Nexus plus a Hammer is just lethal in 1 swing, so this is just inconsequential damage so far.
Also, short side note that we cannot feature Christian Aller anymore because he already was taken out by Phil, who is playing Hammertime at the moment. He was also playing a very nice list. He was playing like this, he calls it Phyrexian Vengeance. We will show up the deck list over here for short, which is very spicy. Also featuring a Traxa. It's also actually it's just Esper Reanimator, just with a Traxa and Elishnorn and doing a lot of fun stuff. But let's look back to this game over here because this is very exciting.
Marcus tapping out again. Almost. We know that Phil isn't holding a Mana Tithe or a Spell Pierce.
Did you see what he has in hand?
He had ample opportunity to counter spells, and I think he never took it. So it has to be something else. Judging by the fact that he never missed a land drop, we can assume that it's another land.
Yeah.
Phil's mana base is full of lands that do things. It's not just the Inkmoth Nexuses, but of course, like all other Hammer lists, he's playing the full set of Urza's Saga,
Urza's Saga, of course,
which he didn't draw this game. He's
Yeah.
also playing a Ganjos, which could maybe help with an attacking Omnath, so maybe
Yes.
he has an Ganjo.
Yeah.
But he was unfortunate enough to only draw the classic mana producing lands
True.
in addition to the Nexus.
So Marcus playing the second Omnath here just to draw 4 cards.
But also Teferi is still in play. He has a really hard time casting instants at the moment, which
Yes.
is... Okay, the hammer is gone.
So this makes it very, very difficult for Phil. Phil with a lone... Yes, it was a land. Phil with a lone Ornithopter on the board.
Facing off against an army of elementals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the game.
Yeah, Marcus just drawing and drawing and drawing.
Solitude very strong against Ornithopter as it
Wow.
gains Phil
Wow.
only 0 life.
I mean, I think we can assume that this is over, yeah.
Always make him go through the motions. Always.
Yeah.
At this point also, Marcus paid for the deck. You can let him enjoy drawing 6 cards a turn.
Yeah.
It always sucks when your deck starts to go off and the engine starts churning and the opponent just concedes, right?
Yeah.
Just let him have fun.
Let
have
him
fun,
play
yes,
a little, yeah. Magic is about fun.
So, postboard, what do we think here?
Right.
So, I personally think it gets a lot better for Marcus, even. He gets the 3 Force of Vigor, the 2 Musages, and a 1 of Kataki.
Yeah. That's just nuts.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
That is pretty
I
nuts.
mean, for sure. And what will he take out? Maybe the Elishnorn? Maybe...
No. I think he keeps it. This matchup, I think, is... So if he kept it against Infect, he must keep it because it stops a ton of cards that have entered the battlefield abilities from... Of course, he has to get to 5 mana to cast it, but I think it's much more justifiable to keep it here.
Yeah.
He might cut...
So he brings 6 card in.
Yes.
The Kataki...
He might even bring in the Endurances, just because they block
for the
not
same
access.
reason. Not as good as against Infect. I feel like the Risen Reefs have to go, which
Yeah.
is interesting because he's cutting green cards that he could pitch to Force of Vigor. So
But what else? Maybe the 1 of Endurance?
Maybe.
So we have 5 cards and
I
maybe...
could see also keeping it as a reach blocker.
As I said, he might take out the Abundant Growth. He likes to take these out.
Yes, he likes to take Abundant Growth out
So
against...
I don't think he's gonna cut the Risen Reef just because it pitches for white and for green.
That's
You
true.
get to pitch it for
No, it's
Solitude and
blue.
Force
It's
of Vigor.
blue-green. It's
Is it blue-green?
It's blue-green. It's only for Force of Vigor, but it's huge in the matchup.
Yeah.
having an extra green card that you want to keep in hand and don't mind not casting, because it hurts to pitch a Renin 6 in the matchup.
We
But the
have
Risen Reef,
we
So what
have
does
one
Phil get?
commentary in the chat which says never cut the reefs, cut the groves, maybe 1-2 bindings.
yes, I agree. So the Groves could go for sure.
Alright, if we are discussing sideboard choices, they are definitely right. They do bring in those 6 cards. The 2 Besiegers, the 1 Kataki, and the 3 for the figure. And they're right about I do cut the 3 Abundant Growth, usually cut the Endurance, and 1 Eldamri's Call, that's 5. And usually if I bring in Besieger, I cut the Cavern, so yeah, that's 6. Sometimes I bring in the Giant Killer, but I don't think I did this time. Could be wrong, can't really remember.
Where it gets interesting is on Phil's side.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
switch over to Phil over here.
This is where the blue part of the deck comes into effect with the 2 Lavinias.
Lavinia, yeah.
So what Lavinia does is it makes it much harder for Marcus to cast Playline Binding.
Yeah.
He would, with Lavinia on the board, he would have to pay the full 6 or have 6 lands in play. To
Maybe
cast it.
Hushbringers for the ETP triggers.
Also
Definitely.
Hushbringers.
The
Yes.
Hushbringers, definitely.
So I think what Phil is looking for now is one of these 4 creatures, Lavinias and Hushbringers.
Yeah.
This will make it much more difficult for Marcus to interact with his Furies, with his Solitudes. What else? I think we will also see the 2 Path to Exiles.
Yeah.
We've seen this member in the previous match where Daniel managed to kill an Omnath without it getting too
Omnath
much
has to
value.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 2 Path to Exiles probably are coming in.
But then again, how do you actually want to board in that many cards in a deck like this? Like, how much do you want to alter your whole game plan?
Maybe I'm wrong, but I would cut the 4 Esper Sentinels. I will
Yeah,
admit
they don't do anything.
They
don't do anything,
I'm not
yeah.
a huge Hammertime player, but I feel like you could cut Esper Sentinels.
In
They're a
this
bit,
matchup, definitely, yes. Yeah.
yes.
Marcus doesn't really play a lot of, like...
Ren and 6 and Teferi, basically, is where you could realistically expect to draw a card off of. Right?
But
Because-
yeah, then again, he can just play them later. And
Yes, you can play them later, yes. But it never triggers off of creature spells. So an Esper Sentinel on the board will not give any value against Solitude. It will just die to 1 ping from the Fury.
That's correct.
I could see it getting cut. It is a 1 mana artifact, which does help the deck make bigger constructs with Urza's Saga, trigger Metalcraft for Pure Steel Paladin. It's difficult. Again, I'm not an expert with the deck.
Yeah, it's
so I
very
might be-
difficult, especially because Marcus is bringing in so much good stuff against Hammer against this particular deck.
Maybe cut a few of the grindy cards like Shadow Spear. Just take the Shadow Spear out.
I don't think he cuts the Shadow Spear. I'm not even sure he cuts the Esper Sentinels. I have no idea what Phil is up to.
Board up to 64.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
64 years. I
Might
don't-
even cut out the reality chip, doesn't do a lot.
Doesn't do a lot because you're never outgrinding this deck, right? Okay, Phil with the nuts again with the turn 1 Giver of Runes, which will force Marcus to remove it before doing anything else.
But this deck has just so many removal cards.
So many.
It just
yes.
doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nowhere is safe. Again, the strong start from
it's the same actually.
Phil the same.
And is there an Ornithopter?
It has to be.
Or
There's
Springleaf Drum?
There's no other 0 mana spell.
Yeah.
It has to be an Ornithopter. Phil goes for Kaldra again. The reasoning, I think, is the same as in game 1. If you have a Giver of Runes,
You can protect it.
you can reasonably expect your Mystic to survive. But what Marcus did game 1 is he cast the Leyline Binding and a Fury on his turn 2.
This is exactly the same start.
It's exactly
Even the same
yes.
lands.
Deja
And there's
vu.
also the little binding, which is also the same.
Deja vu.
Do we get to see the Fury again?
I think so.
And what I like about this line of play, not necessarily how it panned out, but Phil makes a nice play now and preemptively gives it protection from red.
Or white? We don't
No,
know.
because for white he can respond with Solitude. But if you give it protection from red, Fury is only sorcery speed,
Yeah.
while the binding is on the stack. If he had done this game 1,
I actually did have the Solitude in hand, but I wanted to wait 1 turn so I can cast it when I had my Wizenreef in play. So yeah.
He could have saved the
So
mistake.
he learned.
He learned.
He learned,
from
yeah.
mistakes.
Now he gets
And
to
now
come
we
in
get
with the counter
Now
combo.
He
we get
evolved,
the
yeah.
payoff. Great play from Phil. Amazing.
Wow.
So what I liked here is that Phil isn't playing with results-oriented thinking.
Mm-hmm.
He made the decision game 1 that it's wiser to get Caldra
Mhm.
complete,
And now
and he
learned,
did
yeah.
the same in game 2. He
Yeah.
didn't let the result of game 1 influence his logic,
Yeah.
and now he gets the payoff. So let's see, the equipment can actually end the game in
He's actually a
in
very
3 swings,
underrated
yes.
player somehow.
Yes. Marcus has the solitude
Yeah.
again. Never lucky. But it did cost him a bit. The Aladamri's call and the solitude is, you can basically equate it to 2 solitudes in this matchup.
But I'm pretty sure this Solitude got drawn now.
It has
Like
to
he-
be, right? Because
he didn't
otherwise
have it
he would
before.
have killed the Stoneforge Mystic.
So he drew it with either with the Risen Reef or
Yes.
with this Strostep.
In this matchup, Stoneforge Mystic is surprisingly good
Yeah.
because what we've seen in older Stoneblade style lists is it used to fetch up one equipment, put it into play, and then just do nothing, be a squire all game. But in this matchup, it always threatens an instant speed hammer.
Yes.
So with one Sigarda Zaid on the board and the Stoneforge Mystic, it's just like against Infect. You can never
And
tap
here's
out.
the
Or like
Sigarda
this.
Zaid, yeah.
It's the Pure Steel Paladin. Very similar.
And there's the
And
hammer.
the hammer.
Whoops.
Draws a card.
So we have 3 artifacts here.
And the Ornithopter is still in play. It's lethal.
Marcus Coops.
Wow.
Wow.
This went from 0 to 100 in like 5 seconds.
I feel like this wasn't lethal because you can equip the hammer to the Ornithopter,
Yeah.
but what Colossus Hammer says is it gives +10/+10, but
But
also
loses flying.
loses flying,
Yeah.
and he could have chump blocked.
Yeah, but I think if he would have done it correctly, he just Caldra gives Tramper.
Right, and he can
Yeah.
equip the Caldra and the hammer. You're
Yeah.
right, chat is one step ahead.
Yeah, always. Thank you, chat.
Very strong, so it did pan out for Phil.
Exactly.
The correct play worked out. Very nice.
So what we see here is he's evolving, right? He did the mistake game 1.
Yes.
And maybe
It's even tough to call it a mistake.
it's
Probably
not,
it was. You should have named red. It was.
But
the
even
only...
us, we didn't see it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
yes.
but-
It took us one whole game.
yeah.
Very nice. Very nice payoff.
Very nice, yeah.
And now Marcus is in the same situation as the previous match. He wins game 1, loses game 2, and now has to sweat it against the
Yes,
combo
but
creature
Phil
deck.
also, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the percentage-wise, the ratio, I think Marcus is still very favored. I would put it in the 35% range or something like that.
Probably.
But if Phil gets the cards right and his start is
Okay,
fine,
this is
or
a
there's
good,
one mulligan, okay, that's...
a
but also
mulligan
for
for
Phil?
both players. Okay, Phil
Yeah.
always looks.
Yeah.
Always looks. You have to know.
I always say never look, because at this point you've made the decision based on the information that you have, and if you take a mulligan, then it's probably the right decision. And then looking on the top and seeing the card that you needed is like taking away from the
Decision.
from the
yes,
and from the
correct-
lesson that you've already
Yes,
learned.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I think mulligans are an advantage for Phil. Realistically, Phil needs only 5 cards to win,
Yeah.
whereas Marcus needs quite a lot. He needs the lands with the correct colors. He needs the elementals with the pitch card.
Yes.
It might be,
But somehow he always has it.
let's see, very exciting. And we haven't seen any of the creatures, the Hushbringer or the Lavinia.
True.
This might be a match for it.
Yeah.
Because if Marcus mulligans and keeps a hand with, let's say, 1 Solitude to survive, and Phil slams Lavinia turn 2,
Also regarding to the matchup before, when Marcus was against Infect, he didn't see the spells kite, so he was not prepared
yes,
for
he's
it.
still not prepared.
So if Daniel had played the spells kite, I think we would have in for a lot of fun.
Yes. The nice part about this double elimination format is that Marcus and Daniel can actually face each other again,
Yes.
because that was a match in the winner's bracket. And we talked to Marcus a bit, a short interview between the rounds, and he told us that he didn't bring in the Force of Vigors. He didn't see the spell skites, and he is still
Yeah.
unaware. So
Yeah.
these can still come as a surprise if the 2 players
Yes.
happen to
He
face
still
each other
doesn't
again.
know that he has spell cuts in
Yes.
main deck.
After
He also told
games.
us he didn't expect him to have 4
Yeah.
Ship Sanctuary in the main deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's totally unaware of what is happening. So from what he knows, it's still just a normal infect deck, right?
Slightly weirder, but normal infect deck, yes.
True.
Is Phil going down to 5? I jinxed it when I said he only needs 5 cards. Okay, let's see. Marcus is also
But as
on
you
the
said,
play.
like, the hammer deck mulligan's quite good, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many cards you want to see, actually.
Yes,
So
that's true.
it tends to mulligan a lot, I think.
Yes, that's true.
The players were against it, yes.
Yes.
The players were against open deck lists. Also, we diced out the pairings against each other. And just the higher seating from
From the
when
top
you
eight.
when you see the list of the top 8, there Phil has so many points, Marcus has so many points, and so on. And the higher they choose whether they want to start or to draw in the first
So
game.
Phil kept the special influence.
He did.
Interesting.
I think they're even worse on the draw.
Yeah, I think so too. Daniel was the first one who said, I'm against open deck
Yes.
lists.
And there we see it.
But everyone appreciates his spice.
Phil does get to draw a card
Yeah,
off
but
of the Ren and 6, but he loses the Esper Sentinel. So it's basically him cycling a card. He would have much rather it was a Spell Pierce or a Mana Tide in this situation.
would have been way better, yeah.
Or even a giver of runes.
Yes. Let's see what he draws. Maybe it's a Force of Negation. Not the end of the world. As Phil can still play an Inkmoth Nexus or maybe an Urza
But he
Saga.
doesn't have Force of Negation.
No,
right?
no, it was a joke.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course,
Another
of course.
joke from you.
Of course. Of course. Always keep them guessing. Marcus doesn't know. Marcus doesn't know.
Marcus doesn't know, yeah.
And there it is. It's the Lavinia.
Oh,
Wow. Okay. So right now, Marcus cannot evoke any of his pitch elementals, and he cannot cast Leyline Binding. What he can, though, is double red.
Double red and
no.
So this just shows how important the
Wow.
Lavinia is. But Phil got a lot of value here.
Yeah,
He removed 1 Ren and 6, and Marcus doesn't have a land drop.
yeah, that's...
And him double pinging.
Oh, there's another
my God.
Lavinia.
Alright, so this game was actually really crazy. Like the Lavinia was so extremely good against me. I took a mulligan, he did as well, but hey, my hand was 2 Furies and 1 Leyland Binding at that point when he played the first Lavinia. So yeah, and when I top decked my 1 and 6, I was just, oh my god, like... Ping ping, kill the Lavinia, and he follows up with a second one. Oh my! At that point I was like, okay, this game is over. I'm like 3% maybe to win this game. But yeah, look how it turns out.
Wow.
Him double pinging means he doesn't have a land for turn 3.
Wow.
He couldn't return a fetch land with Ren and
He
6.
doesn't even have fetch.
He doesn't have it.
No.
Okay, so we have a game, boys. He drew a forest. Never punished. Does he have the Mana Tide? Are we going to see?
Please.
Are we going to
Or the
see?
spell pierce.
Or the
Oh, the
spell
spell
pierce?
pierce, yeah,
Are
that,
we going
that
to
would
s-
be...
Oh,
it's the mana tide.
The perfect
Yes!
five. Incredible.
Oh, God.
Everything is going Phil's way here.
Wow.
Sadly, Ren and 6 ticks up to 3, so he won't die to 1 attack from Lavinia.
Oh, my God. Mana tide and the double Lavinia.
Let's see how Phil can punish
That
this.
was amazing.
What does Phil need now? Not that windswept.
You never need that windswept team.
He needs some pressure right here.
He passes the turn. If his hand is just blacksmith skills, do we see another mana type? That would be amazing. Oh no, it resolves.
He could have responded with a Sunbake Canyon here.
He could have drawn with the Sunbake Canyon, yes. Probably that would have been the play. And Marcus draws the fetch land off of the Teferi
Of course.
-3, which gets him off to the races.
Wow. But that was... Now he draws.
I hope it's not a counterspell. For Phil's sake. Yes,
And
you're
he's going
right.
to
It's
fetch.
not the best. It's not the best hand, but I think, especially given that he's on the draw, it's fine if he keeps a more reactive hand.
If he had some pressure in the backhand after mana tightening the planeswalker, it would have been amazing.
Yes. Something to kill the Ren and 6. Okay, a Ganjo.
Doesn't do much. There's the
Still
Lavinia again.
flooding out. And Phil has to cast his spells
And
now
the Stoneforge.
because of the Teferi.
What do you guys think? It's again Kaldra complete?
It has to be, right?
Yes.
Because
I
he
mean,
has
he
no
doesn't have
other,
anything.
no other engine. It is a hammer. Phil, always surprising.
Yeah.
I think Phil is not expecting the Stoneforge Mystic to survive. Without the Giver of Runes, it's just dead to anything. And Hammer at least is better in case Marcus plays a Fury now.
True.
Which I think is very likely, because if he didn't have any lands, it means his hand is all gas. And he will have the land, because he has a fetch land that he returned already with Ren and 6. So he does have the fetch land in hand. This much we know.
Land into Fury is a disaster though, yeah, you say it. If there comes a Fury...
Ren? What did Ren do?
Fetch.
Nothing so far.
Nothing so far.
There's the
And there we
Fury.
go.
There we go. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
But still, Phil has a hammer.
Yeah.
He has to go Inkmoth Nexus, Sigarda Zaid now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an Inquitex on board.
Yeah. Okay.
There's the Saga.
One Saga. Does Marcus respond with Force of Vigor? No, he doesn't have to at this point.
He's so far ahead.
There's the Sigarda Zaid. And there is another Stoneforge Mystic.
So does he go for the color complete now?
Hmm.
I mean, he has a
You
hammer.
never know.
You know what? He might be getting a ton of hammers.
Shadow Spear.
Shadow Spear.
Interesting. He's trying not to die to the Fury. That's true. Because the Fury is basically represents 6 power of attackers and he's on 13.
Yeah.
And the Ren and 6 ping actually makes it a 2-turn clock.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have infinite time. And Shadow Spear could give him those few points of life. Not the best plan, but it's something.
Another Fury.
Oh, Marcus. How many copies of Fury has he got in his deck?
I think
But
only 2.
I
Only those
think with the Teferian board,
2 Furies, yeah.
2 Furies and none in the sideboard.
so with the Teferian board, he should have played the equipment, right? And equip it to the Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, might have not been the best play by
The Shadow
Phil
Spear,
now.
you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, also the hammer.
No, with Sigarda Zaid. Yeah, that's true. He could have equipped the hammer into the Mystic. It's difficult, right? Because Sigarda Zaid only triggers once. I think what he was hoping for is that his Mystic survives and he can flash in the hammer
No,
with
but-
the Mystic's ability and equip it with Sigarda Zaid.
But he has to go from the worst case.
Yes, probably, given that he was so behind. He was playing to win, and we're playing not to lose.
Yeah, it's over.
But it's over.
Alright, so Marcus advances into the next bracket.
Alright, so that last game against Phil, man, that one was insane. I still can't believe I won that game. So yeah, there's still 2 more matches to come. One against Brenton again on Yawgmoth, and one more against Toby on Death Shadow. So yeah, if you want to be sure to not miss them, just subscribe right here or watch the next video right there. See you next time.